Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I'm going to have a look at the Kerrang magazine from December 24, 1988. So going back exactly 25 years ago. So here's the front cover. It's actually a double issue. But let's have a closer look at it. It's got Killer Dwarfs, Metal Church, Metallica, Magnum, Tesla, and Kiss. And yeah, 64 pages. It's got giant crossword, all that sort of extra stuff it's put in here because it's a double issue, I guess. So in the news here, interesting first thing here that I notice, Alice Cooper is talking about his new album that he's doing with Desmond Child. So of course that ends up being trash and ends up being quite a big hit. It says it's due on MCA, but actually ends up being released on Epic. I think his previous label was MCA, so he must change labels before he released Trash. Then it's talking about metal madness grips America. So in 1988, what they call, we might not call heavy metal now, but it was definitely given the metal category. Back in 88, really. I mean, it's hard rock metal. A lot of these bands would really be called hard rock, but you've got Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, all sort of in the top 10, and Poison. And then, they're also talking about Metallica. I've got, they've sold 1.5 million copies of Injustice for All. Cinderella at number 15. And of course, Van Halen, OU812, also charting well. And then Ozzy and Rat. With their albums No Rest for the Wicked and Reach for the Sky, also on the charts. It was just a big year for this type of music. Not only was it, popular, but it was popular in the mainstream. It was charting on the mainstream charts, singles and albums. And it's talking about some of the ones that are coming up that should be also big, like especially, Dokken's double live album. It's one thing they're talking about. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Saxon, though, in 1988, probably weren't doing so good. They just released the album Destiny. It's talking here about Paul Johnson. He was the bassist, and he's just left the band. And, it didn't sound like it went very well. He's talking about the band, for me, had lost all its fire and wasn't even making any attempt to be great. It's kind of sad, He decided to stick it out until after the live album was recorded. But he says, "There's no way I'm ever going back. I just like to put the whole episode behind me now. Saxon were never a democratic band. I was never told what was going on. I wasn't involved in anything." And then he talks about how the future looks very bright. I've got 2 projects under the way at the moment with name bands. I'm really optimistic now, and I can just see what a state Saxon are in. They've lost all their vitality they once had. They still seem to be resting on their laurels that they gained 8 or 9 years ago. Yeah, so they probably weren't doing so good at that particular time, but they got through that and still going strong today, which is pretty amazing, really, considering how long they've been going for. I don't think Paul Johnson, the guy they're quoting, really went on to do too much more. It's also talking about Mick Jones, the guitarist for Foreigner, is going to put out an album, which sounds nothing like Foreigner, and it wasn't really that great. Tattooed Love Boys, they were kind of like UK's version of Poison, really. Let's see what else we got here. Marillion, they're still seeking a new vocalist, so of course Fish has left the band, and they haven't got their new vocalist at this point, but of course they end up getting Steve Hogarth, but they're interviewing the guy from Rage, so singer David Lloyd, and they're asking would I join, and then he says, "Does a shark shit in the sea?" So I think he's keen, but that's not what happened. Now let's talk about here, hot new British guitarist Dave Sharma, a mere 19 years of age, has put together his own band, and he's also had Don Airy helping out a recording session on Radio 1's Friday Rock Show. So he ends up actually putting out 2 albums on Noise, but he's known as Dave Sharman. But yeah, he's instrumental guitarist, a bit of a shredder. And actually, that recording, if you go onto his website or you look on Spotify, you can actually hear that Friday Rock Show recording. Yeah. And then we'll just scroll through some of the ads because and there's Man of War looking like Man of War look. Move on from that. So these are all the letters. People, they didn't have social media, right? So you could just write into the magazine, and that was kind of like that the version of social media in those days. Tesla, I never found their interviews to be particularly interesting, but what a good band they are. They're talking to Frank Hannon and Brian Wheat, I think. One thing that's interesting, I guess, I kind of already knew this, but they're saying that they were Frank and Brian were initially in a band called Earthshaker, and then they later became City Kid. And they were discovered by Ronnie Montrose, supposedly, and he actually gave them the song Little Susie, because Little Susie is actually not their own song, and he produced their first demo. I know he worked with Y&T for a while as well, but and of course they were with Q Prime, who also looked after Metallica and Def Leppard, so they had some big bands. But some more adverts. We might just move through some of this. More on Tesla. Yeah, they had the phone line so you could call up. I don't know how much it cost, but I don't think it was that cheap. I don't know who did that. Here's some quotes. "We are two of the least pretentious people you could meet." Joe Lynn Turner talking about himself and Yngwie Malmsteen. Don't know about that. Kingdom Come, Lenny Wolf saying, because they were getting hassles about being, sounding like Led Zeppelin. "We didn't go out of our way to sound like Led Zeppelin. All we sound like is Kingdom Come." Yeah, well, I like them, but anyway. This one here too from Jimmy Page. He's talking about the White Snake Still of the Night video, and he says, "And there's a part where the guy starts playing with the bow. I actually fell around laughing. I fell on the ground laughing." Yeah, I think he's sort of laughing because he feels like they're ripping off Led Zeppelin. And some more down here. More quotes. This one here from Matthias Jabs from Scorpions. "Like Poison guitarist, for example, my roadie plays better than him, Yeah, for some reason, Poison get a bit of a hard time, don't they? But I don't know. They're not. I think musicianship's not too bad. I don't know about the songs, but they can play. Anyway, and then we've got the year in metal, so all the different things that happened throughout the years. As of at the end of 1988, I won't sort of go into that too much because we're already looking back, aren't we? But and then this is about the concrete foundation. So this was actually quite a big thing. I don't know if it still happens. Maybe it does, but you used to read about it in the magazines back in the day quite a bit, and sometimes it would be a chance for new bands to sort of showcase. And it's called the Concrete Foundation Forum. So some bands playing there, Faster Pussycat, Wrathchild. I think this is maybe even before they had put out their album, but with Wrathchild America, not the UK version. Some pictures from it. So it's interesting. It's Jimmy Bain and Jack Russell playing together. I don't know who that guy is there, that little kid, and here's Tom Werman and Rick Rubin. And Dear, they just put out their album, Out of the Silence. Yeah. I think you can win a copy of it or something. Quiz. Here we go. It's a big quiz, isn't it? This is like more the sort of death or thrash news, I suppose, or some more independent music, maybe. I don't know actually. Death fine, definitely not hair metal. So there's Voivod, Exodus. Um, yeah, View from the Bars never really found that particularly interesting. Thought they were trying to be funny, but just I don't know, just didn't do it for me that much. Some cartoons. Killer Dwarfs are in here celebrating Christmas. There they are. Merry Christmas, Killer Dwarfs. Got a big cracker. So this is mainly just a picture thing. I think they're just some pictures. I guess this is about the time Big Deal maybe came out. And here's they're talking about the new vocalist there for Metal Church, Mike Howe. Rest in peace. It's talking about how there's been a change and, Mike's come in. David Wayne has left the band. And Kurt Vanderhoof is also sort of left the band, but he's still with the band. He's still writing, and he just didn't want to tour, supposedly, is the story, I think, here. But so they're just about to drop their new album with their new vocalist. And then now this is just a whole recap of the year, so it's quite a lot, I think, here that, they're only up to February here. There's Whitesnake with a band that didn't even record the album, pretty much. I mean, it's, yeah. But all those guys can play, that's for sure. Anyway, so, and that guy here, this guy, he was like going on about how he's actually Nikki Sixx, that he's the real Nikki Sixx. Yeah, Matthew Tribe. It's a weird story, that one. There's probably some interesting stuff in here, but I mean, there's a lot of information. No, look, so Iron Maiden with some topless girls. You don't really see that very much. It's more of a sort of a hair metal kind of thing to do, isn't it? There we go. And they've got straight jackets on. Talking of hair metal, there they are. There's Brittany Fox. And there's Poison. And talking about Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, who did reform for the Atlantic's 40th anniversary bash. And then we've got some adverts, so we'll just move through that. More recapping on 1988. The Moles, Ozzy, Diamond Dave. So that's where Fish was, but of course he's left the band at this point. 5Ks for the new Metallica album, Justice for All. Yeah. It says Kiss flying for a secret marquee show before their Darlington slot. I don't think they'd do that sort of thing now. Well, obviously not, because they've retired, supposedly. Maybe their avatars will do it. Uncle Sam, you don't sort of see them in these magazines too much. That they really had a glam metal look, hair metal look, but it didn't really have that sound. It's more of a garage rock kind of sound. Van Halen, Peter Ford. Clothing. So HM Gear, they were quite popular back in the day. I don't know if they still exist or not, but they were in the magazines quite a bit. Now these are the like supposedly the picks of the year. So these people are actually the photographers. I think that's Ross Halfin. He's quite well known photographer. Dave Willis and Ray Palmer, Joe Gyron. Yeah, so definitely know Ross Halfin. Ray Palmer sounds familiar. But anyway, there's their picks of the year. So this is Ross Halfin's pick of the year. Oh my goodness, yeah. Okay. James from Metallica, acting like he's in Poison. And yeah, guys from Kiss, of course. This could be from their marquee gig. I'm not sure. Um, and this is the band Sanctuary with a snake. And this is the guy from Zodiac Mind Warp. All right, now this is quite interesting. So this is an A to Z of every album reviewed in the pages of Kerrang during 1988. So it's quite interesting because you can look at the band and the album and sort of see what score they gave it. There's not too much more information in there, but just if you were interested, have a quick look at that. See if anything sort of stands out. Blow up your video. AC/DC. Yeah, they gave it 5Ks, but not sure about that. I mean, I like AC/DC, but I don't think that was one of their better ones. Let's see. Anything interesting here? It's all very subjective. Interesting, New Jersey, they only gave that 3 3/4 Ks. I mean, it's still good, isn't it? But and I'm not that big a fan of that one, but compared to how much I like Slippery, but thought they might have got more. Let's see what else. Danzig, only 3 3/4. Yeah, no, it's a 5-star. That's a 5K one, surely. Brittany Fox, yeah, see, I mean, Brittany Fox got 5. Wig Rock Strikes Back. Well, I don't know if they're wearing wigs, but I don't know if it's 5Ks either. Anyway, Bullet Boys, what they give that one? Because I do really like that one. Yeah, 4.5Ks. Brilliant LA hard rock a la Van Halen. Yep, it's probably pretty much right. Yeah. Anyway, kind of interesting to look at this, just to have a quick little overview of what they gave everything. Interesting. Cinderella, Long Cold Winter, only 2.5. It's a bit rough. Maybe they didn't like the new blues direction they went in. I mean, they even go even more blues on the next one. Yeah, I mean, Doc and Beast from the East, 4.25Ks. I don't know. It's a live album. How do you really rate that? Anyway, moving on. Shrapnel, that's kind of more sort of independent band news, I guess. Demos that are coming out. Yeah, Bitches Brew. That's a female-fronted band, actually, that I do know a bit about, but they put out they're talking about their 12-inch single, but they do have an album as well. It's not that easy to get, but and I have had it, but I didn't like it that much. I think it was that good. They're a UK band. Yeah, more adverts. Interesting. They've actually got a story. So Mary X Massacre. Not really what I want when I buy a Kerrang magazine to read a story. Yeah, horror story. I don't even think it's music related. So maybe that's just trying to fill up some pages. I don't know. But maybe some people liked it, but it's not really why you buy a music magazine. Anyway, so it's quite long too. It takes up quite a bit of pages here. So we'll just move through that. Now here's your personals and classifieds again. It's just sort of social media that existed at this time. Yeah, I think we're coming to the end. Concerts. Oh yeah, so there'd be some interesting concert reviews probably here. Magnum, Stage Dolls, NEC Arena. I'm kind of surprised. Magnum. I guess they're quite popular in their home country. Stage Dolls, I guess, is support. I quite like Stage Dolls. There's one album they put out probably around about this time. That was a good one. Probably smaller shows like Tiger's Tales, Last of the Teenage Idols, Soho Roses. Yeah, they're kind of more the glam metal bands from the UK that Tiger Tales be the more well known of the three. Yeah, there's Magnum. DRI, Exploited, Gangrene, but more sort of thrashy stuff there. Jeff Healey, Iron Maiden playing at Wembley, of course. So they're pretty popular even back in those days. Yeah, gigs coming up. It's usually a sign we're coming to the end. Let me Answers to the crossword. More gigs coming up. And talking about some of their other magazines. Oh, look, there's Lisa Dominique. Wonder why she's on the cover. Anyway, yeah. Some of these don't age that well. Middle chart. So interesting. Supposedly number one singles by Angry Anderson and Suddenly. I think that was a ballad and it was on the soap opera Neighbours, which was really popular in the UK. It's Australian soap opera, but it was really popular in the UK. So that probably had a lot to do with that being number one. Yeah, and then you've got Status Quo number two. It's a bit surprised, but Born to Be My Baby by Javi number three. Kiss Me Deadly by Lita Ford number four. Yeah, I don't know if that's actual singles, like the actual singles charts. I mean, probably the rock singles or rock or metal singles charts, I guess. But yeah, and then for rock or metal albums, number one is Guns N' Roses. Soft metal, that's like a compilation album. That was when they're saying soft metal, and it's barely metal. So we're talking like, I think on those kind of compilations, you'd have things like well, you might have something like Bryan Adams. He'll be on there. It's yeah, kind of weird because it's not even metal, but they're calling it soft metal. Yeah, and then more Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, Bon Jovi, all the big names in there really. Yeah, Bon Jovi in the top 20 with two albums. And so same with Guns N' Roses. Yeah, indie metal. I think it's just more independent release. So it's not on a major label. Interesting to see Metallica on there because they were on, of course, Music for Nations for their first few releases. Imports, so that can be a major label, but it's just not got local distribution. House of Lords, number one there. And I always found the Star Choice quite interesting. So they'd ask people, well-known, rock stars, what's some of your favorite songs or albums. Tom Kiefer from Cinderella's Homebound Train, Bon Jovi, and Welcome to the Jungle, and Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson. Yeah, bit of a surprise that last one. All right, and then that's it. We're done. There's a little cartoon to finish off with. Merry Christmas from Anthrax. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's Kerrang 219, 1988. 35 years ago that came out. Well, I hope everyone's had a great Christmas. Merry Christmas from myself here at Rock and Metal Invasion. And I will be back later. All right, we'll catch you later. See ya.